Encouraging is very important because this is parang an icebreaker when participants start to respond. When a facilitator asks a question and nobody replies or nobody reacts right away, a facilitator is not supposed to answer his own question. Okay, I am guilty of this when I did my very first ALPS workshop online. It was quite hard for me because I haven't done workshops for the longest time because I did training for BPO, then I went to Opsman, and then I went to corporate L&D. So it has been a while. Tapos ano pa yan, online pa. And then yung class ko pa that time, hybrid. Some were working from home, but some were in this big room. It was, the participants were in Mindanao. Some were in this big room with a big TV. And then I could not see reactions. I could not see the responses right away. So when I would throw a question, parang ano mo yun, I was just throwing out lines in an empty room. And I didn't know if they were all finding it or absorbing it. And as a facilitator, you need to be able to learn how to encourage them to answer or to respond. How do you think can you encourage? What are statements that you can use to encourage? Kasi ako noon, I was scared. I was answering my own question and Lois was, don't answer your own question. Ask them out. But then you have to understand. Kasi parang hindi nila na-absorb, so natataranta ako. And it can happen to a facilitator. They ask a question and nobody responds. But this is one skill that you can actually master. How to be encouraging. So what questions can you ask to be encouraging? Anyone who wants to try? Carlo, you want to try?
Hey, you want to try? Yeah, just like what you did.
There you go. See, that's one way. You can ask them, hey, you want to try or you want to give it a shot? Diba? How about si Jen? Paano maging encouraging if you're asking somebody or a group?
For me, kasi Faith, based on my experience, first is itawag ko muna sa name and then what questions do you have or do you have any concern or clarification with the meeting or doon sa dinidiscuss ko. Kasi sometimes shy sila na magtanong. So from bago mag-start is yun, ganun kami yung first that we have parang icebreaker muna doon sa mga medyo ano lang namin, close lang namin na mga people or participants. So,
maski hindi close, gawan nyo rin ng icebreaker para hindi magkaroon ng division na you're only doing icebreakers for those who know.
Yes.
And the stagers walang icebreaker, 'di ba? Para inclusion, everyone's included. Hindi walang iba. So that's also part of being a facilitator. Lahat dapat balance, lahat meron. Lahat may icebreaker. So
medyo yun yung problem namin ni Burns today when it comes to management team. Medyo nagiging formal kami. Kaya ngayon, yun yung challenge sa amin na kahit yung mga management team like Joey or sila Sheila, nag-joke na kami sa umpisa po bago mag-start ng updating or presentation.
Yes, you should. I encourage that because when you facilitate, besides at the back of your mind, alam mo management to, ito yung staff, 'di ba? Parang may ganun. Pero when you facilitate, you have one goal the same goal of making sure your participants learn from that meeting, making sure that you get your message across. there are some words that you can actually use. Verns, would you mind reading the first bullet, please?
Who else has an idea?
Lai, would you mind reading the second, please?
Is there an HR's perspective on this issue?
All right, thank you. Pam, next.
Does anyone have a black story you're willing to share?
All right, thank you. Sheila, next.
What do the others think?
Thank you. Jed.
Joe offered us an idea that all general principle. Can anyone give an example of this principle in action?
All right, thank you. Ina, next. Oops.
Are there comments from anyone who hasn't spoken for a while?
Thank you. Carlo.
What was said at table 2?
Great. Verns again.
Is this discussion raising questions for anyone?
And Lai.
We've been looking for the root causes of this problem. Any other possibilities?
Okay. So these are all your encouraging statements, things that you can ask your participants for them to be able to open up and answer. Now, another rule that you can do as a facilitator, if you are not confident or if para ayaw mo nang may dead air, is if you facilitated the same workshop in the past and there was a question that was raised in the past, you can take note of that question and ask the group or share it with the group so that matutrigger din yung kanilang matutrigger din yung conversation. So a perfect example is you mentioned, like, for example, in my other batch or in my other class, they asked, how am I going to do this and this? Do you have the same question? Diba? Pag if they, if you're just helping them remember things or trigger a scenario that they might be able to ask questions, you can ask the question yourself for them para matrigger sila. That's also how you encourage. That's an example. So when you encourage, of course, the tone of voice should be encouraging. Jen, how about you? What story do you have to say? Or what story do you have to tell? Diba? So ganon, you just have to ask. And you can actually ask directly. If you ask the class or if you ask the group in general one time and nobody replied, then this is where you ask more specific questions. Pam, what do you think? Yeah, so that's being direct now, being more encouraging direct.